Hi, this is Sue Wyman, and this is part one of a two-part series on interviewing like a pro. Everyone is super excited when they get that phone call or email saying that they get an interview, because that's what it's all about, right? You work hard on your resume, on your LinkedIn profile, cover letter if you have to write one, to get the interview. And so now you get the chance. And then a certain amount of angst sets in about, oh my God, I have an interview. How will I stand out? Why will they hire me? So this is an effort to help make things a little easier for you. So the things we'll talk about in this piece is really doing your research to get you prepared for the interview. So looking at the job description, the company, the interviewers, figure out what questions you want to ask them, and also what you want to wear. So to help you with organizing your research is our 3+3 document. And it allows you to just jot down some notes that you will need for the interview to refresh you. You may have used this before when you were getting ready to submit your application. But it's just, and if you have that, you can use it, but it's really handy way to organize your thoughts. So after that, in order to fill that out, you'll look at the position description and the responsibilities and try and highlight the things that you think they will want to know about. So in this particular one, brand messaging, internal communications, writing, content, and then on the flip side of that, also being able to analyze the metrics and the return on investment and looking at trends in social media and developing a plan. So responsibilities on this position are pretty interesting because they require different parts of your expertise and different parts of your brain to do them well. Following that, looking at the requirements. What are the things that are most important to them? You know, as it showed in the responsibilities, there's going to be a lot of writing, and it's going to be wrapped around social media, but also being organized enough to manage the projects that you're working on and knowing a social media management tool. It gives you specific ones. And if you don't know them, I think doing some research on them and looking potentially at any training that they have or LinkedIn Learning to see if you can get conversant enough that you can do well in the interview. When you're looking at the company, you want to get some pretty specific things about them so that when they ask you that question, what do you know about us or why are you interested in working for us, that you can have some really solid answers. And then, of course, putting it all together in that 3+3 if you haven't done so already. So then researching your interviewers. It's not a bad thing to ask the person who reaches out to you, could you please tell me who I'll be interviewing with? If they don't have an answer for you, it's probably because they're not certain of who's going to be available the particular day that you interview, or it may be super easy for them. And the first thing you should do is jump on LinkedIn and check and see if you can look at their profiles. And what you want to know is really, how long have they been at the company? If they've been there for 2 weeks, you're certainly not going to ask them any deep questions. But where have they worked before? Where'd they go to school? Do you share any mutual connections? Can you find out easily any scoop on them that will help you? Because they're going to be doing the same thing for you. They're going to be checking out your profile. And what do they really want to know in an interview? What's the point? Obviously they want to know if you can do the job, but they also want to get a read on you. How are you going to fit in their company? Are you going to work well with their clients, be they internal or external? And are you someone that they would want to spend some considerable amount of time with? So now coming up with questions for hiring managers. I've had candidates before when I was in search not move forward with the position because they didn't have any questions at the end of the interview and didn't cover very well for it either. But coming up with some insightful questions, things that are important, things you really want to know, will help you know those things and help you look more intellectually curious to your interviewers. So simple, who's the most successful person that you've had in this role? Important one, how will you be measured during the first 60 days, 90 days? That may even stump them a little bit and cause them to come up with a really meaningful answer, kind of a pre-programmed one. And if you're asking about culture in that particular department. And very important, what are next steps in the process? When do they anticipate making a decision? You don't want to drill them on these points, but I think it's fair to want to know where they are. Are you the first person that they interviewed and they're just beginning what's going to be a 2-month process, or are you at the end? So during the interview, you need to be selective of who you ask what question. As I said, if they've been there for a very short amount of time, there's a lot that they don't know. So picking and choosing who you ask what questions. And not going in for too many questions. If you whip out a legal pad that's got 40 questions on it, that's going to be daunting for them. You're never going to be able to ask all those questions. So using good judgment with that and thanking people for their time, because interviewing candidates takes a lot of your time to prepare and it takes a lot of their time to do it. On what to wear, if you don't know, ask. What you'd wear to a bank and financial, or to a bank or a investment banking firm, is way different than what you'd wear at a brand new startup. So just ask what's appropriate for you to wear. If it's a formal interview, the most easy way to do it is to just suit up. And that truly is the easiest way because you know exactly what to wear. If it's a business casual interview, that sometimes can be more difficult. You want to look professional, but you don't want to look overdressed. So something like this would work. For women, a sweater and a shirt and a skirt is fine, but most probably in this environment, you may only be partially dressed up. Just be careful about that. So thanks for joining, and feel free to check out part 2. Bye-bye.